I'm Diana. The winter sun was shining brightly on the snow as we stepped outside, holding hands. It was a sight that once would have meant nothing to me, but now, it was a symbol of a new beginning. I was leaving behind the cabin that had been my refuge, my prison, for so long, and stepping into a new life I had once believed I no longer deserved. It all started with the loss of my daughter, Lily. She was only 4 years old when she lost her battle with cancer. The moment the monitors in the pediatric ward went still, time stopped for me. Our apartment, once filled with laughter and life, became a silent tomb. The photographs on the living room wall, the soft toys lining the shelves in the nursery, and the tiny pink shoes by the doorframe, they were all reminders of the life we had lost. My husband, David, and I were devastated. But while I sank deeper into grief, David tried to move on. He wanted to pack up Lily's things, donate her clothes and toys, and start anew. But for me, it felt like erasing her memory. I couldn't bear the thought of changing anything in her room. So, we fought. Our marriage, already strained by the loss of our daughter, finally broke apart. Within a month, David moved out, and the divorce was finalized. I sold our apartment and left the city, driving north to a small cabin by the lake that had belonged to my grandparents. It was a place untouched by Lily's life, a place where I could disappear and grieve in peace. The cabin was small and weathered, surrounded by towering pines that creaked in the wind. It was the perfect place for me to hide from the world. I filled the cabin with Lily's belongings, arranging them exactly as they had been in our apartment. Every dress, every shoe, every toy, they were all reminders of the daughter I had lost. At first, the residents of the small town were kind and well-meaning. They brought me baked goods and left handwritten notes at my door, offering their condolences. But I couldn't bring myself to talk to them. I kept my head down, wore black clothes, and avoided all social interaction. Rumors started to spread about me. People said I was unstable, heartbroken beyond repair, or even creepy. But I didn't care. I was lost in my own world of grief. Time passed, but it didn't heal my pain. I lived in a constant state of numbness, going through the motions of daily life without really living. I would sit in Lily's room for hours, holding her pink stuffed bear and whispering to her memory. I thought about ending my life more than once, but the fear of losing Lily again in the afterlife stopped me. Then, one winter night, a blizzard hit. I was sitting in Lily's room, holding the bear, when I saw a shape in the snow. A little girl, standing outside the cabin, shivering in the cold. I couldn't believe my eyes. At first, I thought it was a vision, a product of my grief-stricken mind. But as I got closer, I realized it was real. I ran outside and wrapped the girl in my arms. Her name was Ava, and she had been in a car accident with her father, Ethan. Ethan was unconscious in the car, and Ava had managed to make it to my cabin for help. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my old first aid kit and went back out into the blizzard to find Ethan. It was a struggle, but I managed to get him back to the cabin. Inside, I tended to his injuries and made sure Ava was warm and safe. The presence of another child in my home, the sound of her laughter, and the warmth of the fire, it all felt foreign to me. But at the same time, it was a glimmer of light in the darkness. Ava was drawn to Lily's toys, and when she picked up the pink bear, it felt like a knife in my heart. But I forced myself to let her hold it. Her innocent laughter and the way she hugged the bear, it was a reminder of the joy that had once filled my life. Over the next few days, Ethan and Ava stayed at the cabin. We cooked meals together, went sledding, and played games. For the first time in a long while, I felt alive. I started to open up to Ethan, sharing my story about Lily and the pain of losing her. He listened, not with pity, but with understanding. He told me about his wife, who had died in a car accident 3 years ago, leaving him to raise Ava alone. As the storm passed and the roads opened, Ethan's car was towed away. I knew they would have to leave soon, and the thought filled me with dread. I didn't want to go back to the silence and the emptiness. On the morning they were meant to leave, Ethan took my hand and asked me a question I never expected. He pulled out a small box and showed me a simple silver ring. "I don't want to leave you here," he said. "Will you come with us to the city and be a family with Ava and me?" I was overwhelmed. All the pain, all the loss, and all the years of numbness, they all came crashing down on me. But in that moment, I also felt a glimmer of hope. I looked into his eyes and saw a future I had never dared to imagine. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. "Yes," I whispered. "I will." Before we left, I went into Lily's room one last time. I looked around at all her things, and for the first time, I didn't feel the same sharp pain. I picked up the pink bear and held it to my heart. I knew I was leaving behind a part of my past, but I also knew that Lily would want me to be happy. We drove back to the city, and as the months passed, I slowly started to heal. Spring came, and the world outside the cabin came back to life. On March 8th, as Ethan was cooking dinner and I was reading on the couch, Ava climbed into my lap. She rested her head against my chest and said softly, "Mom." The word broke something open inside me. It was a moment of pure, overwhelming love. I held her close, tears of joy streaming down my face. In that moment, I knew I had stepped fully into the light, and Lily, wherever she was, would not be angry. Now, as I look back on that journey, I realize that grief is a part of life, but it doesn't have to define us. There is always hope, always a chance for a new beginning. And I am grateful for every moment, every tear, and every step that has led me to this place.